Welcome to Let's Bring It In, the podcast about creative leaders doing great work in-house. This is a special edition where we've got a panel, and it's two former guests, Jim Bosiljevac, who was former ECD at Yahoo and now professor at the University of Austin, Texas Creative, and Will Chau, executive creative director at Whole Foods. Guys, thanks for being here. For those who have not had the honor of listening to your individual podcasts, give us just a quick background, where you're from, what you're doing now.
Well, I went to VCU Brand Center, Ad Center back in the day, graduated with you. That's where we know each other from. Spent 16 years in the advertising industry on the agency side, Leo Burnett, then DDB in San Francisco, freelanced a bit, was at Yahoo for 7 years, leading the creative team there. And then, as you said, now I teach at Texas Creative at UT. And I've been there full time for a couple of years. And throughout my career, I've kind of taught on the side, Miami Ad School, Chicago Portfolio School. So I've been teaching for a long time.
Awesome. How about you, Will?
Originally from the West Coast, I went to Art Center College of Design. Back when I think probably Portfolio Center, VCU, Art Center were the only three probably ad schools in the game, maybe UT. That was a long time ago. But yeah, spent my career predominantly on the West Coast at agencies in San Francisco, Portland, Seattle. I was David and Goliath for 4 years. After that, I came out to Austin in 2005 and was a creative director at GSD&M until 2018. And then Whole Foods came calling, and the more I learned about the position and the opportunity, the more I got interested in making the jump to the brand side. While I was at GSD&M, I also started and ran my own ad school for about 7 years, and got a lot of satisfaction out of that. I did that at nights, and so I missed kind of teaching. So you may get a call from me.
Yeah. Well, let me ask, I think that's fascinating. Both of you have teaching experience and a desire to teach. I mean, you didn't have to start that program at GSD&M. What is it about teaching that you guys are, what draws you to both of you to teaching?
I think for me, I think back to all the creative directors that I've learned from in my career, and probably the one I learned from the most was one instructor at Art Center. And I still kind of carry his lessons to today. And I hated being in his class when I was in it, but I appreciated it about a day after I got out of the class. And it just always kind of was something I was interested in. And when I was at GSD&M, I thought about I could go back to school and get my MBA and teach full time. And I thought, I'm kind of too lazy for that. So I'm just going to do my own thing and teach it at night. And it was more of a side gig than an actual job, I would say.
Yeah. But what were they, students or interns from GSD&M who'd apply, or just?
Oh, no, it was people from all walks of life. A lot of them were just students who basically, going to 4-year college wasn't on the cards for them.
Yeah.
Just underserved students, underserved communities. I had a lot of people in transition, some people who didn't want to, go through 4 years or even 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
They want to take a few courses so they could get, what they defined to me as success for them. And it was just kind of my job to help them get there.
Oh, that's awesome. How about you, Jim? You've always been teaching.
Well, you talked me into teaching the first class
That's
when
right.
in Chicago, and I was a little resistant to it because I was only 2 or 3 years into the career, and you were like, you'll be fine, just try it. You know more than the students do. And so I was like, okay, and I just tried it kind of as an experiment. And I think the thing that I found was it helped me get better. Selfishly, it helped me get better. I kind of understanding how I thought about things, because we all internalize it. And so trying to explain it to somebody else helped reinforce it. And then after a while, I really enjoyed the experience too. I just like being around ideas. I like being around the energy of the classroom, and the students are great. And you don't have clients in the room. So, the students aren't getting paid on the one side, but on the other side, they don't have somebody, they're not fighting against all the restrictions and the pushback and all that other part of the process that we all know about. Once you come up with the ideas are just pure, and everybody's trying to make it as good as it can be creatively. And I think being in that environment, and then the thing that I figured out later as I did it more was just I wanted to be a creative director, and it was basically creative direction boot camp. I wasn't a creative director yet, but getting in there and having somebody put 100 ideas on the wall and you having to like respond in time was just good practice for what you do as a creative director. And so I think at some point I kind of sensed like, oh, this is actually, good for me in a lot of ways as well.
I had the same experience at the Chicago Portfolio School because you'd have kids, you'd have a class of, I don't know, 15 kids, and you tell them all to come in with 20 ideas. And it was really unfair to just like have them plaster them on the wall and then say like, that sucks, that sucks, that sucks. Like you'd have to say, this is why this is working, or this is why it's not, or what if you flipped the headline? And yeah, it was creative boot camp or creative director boot camp. So
Yeah. I mean, I recommend it really for anybody who's like, if you want to be a creative director, like get into the critiques, like get into a classroom if you can and teach. It's a low risk environment to come in and just give people feedback.
yeah. So both of you have done really great work at traditional agencies long before you took jobs in-house. I'm curious, like, are you surprised? Do you think that the earlier yous, the yous of, I don't know, 15 years ago would be surprised that you're working in-house today?
I mean, my career has just been like, okay, I guess I'll try that, over and over again. I feel like, I mean, I think the idea of trying to predict where you're going to be in 20 years it's so hard to do. And so I'm not really surprised by it because I think at some point I realized like, this is not in my control, other than just like when opportunities present themselves, like see what it is and explore it and, do your best. And so, but when I went in house as a freelance gig that was going to be a 6-month cover this team kind of gig.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, cool, that sounds like a great freelance gig. The fact that it was in-house didn't even really occur to me. Like, it was just like, okay, it's a freelance gig. I'll take it.
This is at Yahoo.
This was at Yahoo. Yeah. And then it turned into a 7-year thing. And we can talk more about like the differences and stuff, but I just kind of felt like I just love the energy of the place. I love the people and like the ideas. Like I saw a lot of potential. And so I was like, cool. It didn't matter to me that it was in-house or, agency side.
Yeah.
Really.
But I mean, David and Goliath, GSD&M, like these are really well-known traditional agencies. So, I mean, was there any trepidation on your part, like when Whole Foods called?
No, because I think at that point of my career, I didn't realize like how calcified I was to my seat. When you do, I mean, I always got a rush of doing things like big brand campaigns and still do. But I realized the more I spoke to the folks at Whole Foods, just what a opportunity that was beyond the actual work.
Yeah.
Right. Building a team, a culture. So I guess if you're asking me would I have been as excited 15 years ago, probably not, because I don't know if I would have been ready for it, because I was still building my own ad career, chasing the shiny objects and things like that.
Yeah.
And the latter part of my years at GCM, I wasn't as motivated by that anymore.
Yeah. Do you think that, I mean, if we look at the way that more and more companies are bringing creative services in-house, I mean, it's changing the landscape, right? Like there are just more opportunities for people to go to great places. There are more really good people at non-traditional agencies. What have you noticed about the industry itself just over the last 5-10 years? Like what changes have you seen that have, made you either scratch your head or say, oh, that's maybe a better way of doing it?
I mean, so many changes. I don't even know where to begin. When I first started at Whole Foods in 2018, I think the stigma of going to the brand side was starting to kind of like wane away.
Mm-hmm.
When we post a creative opening position now, the majority of applicants are from the agency side.
Yeah,
the majority.
Great. Yeah,
at all levels. So,
well, I mean, but part of that is like, not only do you have a great brand that people know and think is terrific, I mean, the work that you're doing is really cool. I mean, the stuff that I see, and it's not small stuff. Like I see Whole Foods ads on TV. I see, well, also this is getting off a little bit, but like you don't just do the TV stuff. Like you're doing in-store signage, you're doing everything, right?
Everything that a customer sees that has to do with marketing, our team pretty much does.
Yeah.
Outside of PR.
Yeah.
So when you walk into the store, all the signs down to the little shelf tags. A designer designed that.
But
All
that's,
promotions, everything.
isn't that kind of a change from like, I
Huge.
think few agencies would take on that level of responsibility. Well, I mean, at least back in the day, right? Like I think most agencies were TV, print, radio, out of home. That's what they do. Like most agencies that I know of, traditional agencies, would be like, well, in-store stuff, like that's a different type of agency. But you're doing it all, so that's another change that I would say.
Yeah, we're doing all that. We do all of our package design, all of our own channels like email, organic social, paid social, broadcast. We're working on a broadcast campaign now. So we brought it all in-house. Our site design,
Yeah.
our app design.
Do you partner with any outside agencies or design firms or any on a regular basis?
Not on a regular basis. On occasion, when we're just like strapped,
Yeah.
we'll partner with freelancers. We'll hire freelancers. We've done that in the past, range from designers to art director, writer teams.
Yeah.
But we haven't had, I guess, a traditional agency partnership since 2019.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So you've got students now who are jumping into the industry.
Yeah.
How do you, I mean, when we jumped into the industry, it's like, okay, I want to work at Wyden or Goodby or back then Cliff Freeman or Fallon McGilligan, like there were certain agencies that you wanted to work at. Like, what do you tell students now and what do students expect now?
I don't know that they expect like we did to just go to an agency and that was the only option. I mean, I think that was really, and like you said, in our head, and to a certain degree, it was like if you didn't go to one of the top 3 agencies, you kind of felt like you like failed.
Yeah.
Like there was no idea, there wasn't even like the thought that there was no consideration of in-house at all.
Yeah.
I don't think, at least I don't remember it. And now they're like, well, at least what I tell them. So I don't know what they all think, but what I tell them is like, go for the opportunity, like go for the creative opportunity, know who you're going to be working for and the kind of work that you're going to do, and if you're passionate about the brand or you love the work that creative director has done other places, or, even if you just like the vibe of the team, but go, especially early on, you want to show what you could do and build your portfolio. And there's like 1,000 ways to do that now. You want to be doing good work. And so go somewhere you can do that. And I think a lot of them still think, and I don't know that they're necessarily wrong, like they're going to get more variety at an agency. If they go there, they're going to be thrown at a lot of different accounts and that kind of thing. But they also, a lot of them, I think, are more open to things like just going straight freelance. And a lot of them can find that kind of work right now because they can make things. They've been making it their whole lives. A lot of them, they have the tools. And so companies, especially smaller companies, will hire them to we need a social person. You can do social. Come join us, And so I've seen more of them do that kind of thing than, none of us would have ever really considered coming out of school and going freelance.
No, I think it would have been terrifying.
Yeah.
It would have been like, what do you mean? I'm not going to have a job?
Yeah.
Well, and I also think that there wasn't any training out there for how to freelance. Like the training was put your book together and go get a job at the best agency you can.
Yeah, and all the work was conceptual at that point. Like we were showing comps, it wasn't like finished stuff. And so, but a lot of them could make the stuff that is, finished stuff, social ready at least, And so I think that they just, it's a much messier landscape, obviously. Like it was much simpler for us, but I think there's a lot more opportunity if you know where to look,
Yeah. Will, having been at, David and Goliath, GSD&M, Whole Foods, are there skills that work better in-house than at traditional agencies? Like, are there certain things that you think, if you were hiring someone, are you looking for different skills than you might as a creative director at GSD&M?
I think nowadays the challenge isn't so much like finding talent with the right hard skills, especially with kids coming out of college. Like they know all the tools, man, all the bells and whistles. So that's never a problem.
Yeah.
On the agency side, it's not really a problem either because agency folks, I think, are learning all the tools about AI, chat. They know how, everyone's working on Figma.
Yeah.
I think it's more the mindset. Like, are you really ready to come to the brand side? Are you truly ready to work on not just the shiny broadcast campaign, but the way, way, way below the line work that is hugely important to the business, but is not deemed award worthy or portfolio worthy from traditional agency standpoints.
Yeah.
That's what you need to be ready for. And I can sniff it out pretty easily.
Really?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So I'm fascinated by that. So like, what is it about, what are the characteristics of being ready for that?
And it's not showing it in your portfolio. It's truly having a curiosity about things that have to do more with the customer experience than big concepts.
Yeah.
Right. And I think this may be kind of like a controversial thing to say, but when we worked on the agency side, it was all about the big campaign idea, big idea, right?
Yeah.
And it still is in certain channels, but that's a fraction of the work that we do, right? The majority of it is customer experience. Even when it comes to like, working with the UX team on the self-checkout kiosk, where does the search bar go, right? The designer who figures out where that placement should be, are you going to answer that in the one show? Probably not, right?
Yeah.
But it's hugely important for customers. And so when I interview someone and they truly show an interest in that, either like, when you interview folks, you can kind of sense whether or not they're curious about it or have solutions.
Yeah.
Versus someone who says, "Oh yeah, I can write email. I've done big ad campaigns. I can write email."
Yeah.
That's arrogance, like pure and simple to me.
Yeah.
And you're out.
Would you ever want to see that kind of stuff in their portfolio? I mean, when I was at Yahoo, we had a very similar thing. We weren't doing it in store, but it was all, for the most part, very performance driven, lower funnel, banner ads and emails and a lot of that kind of stuff was the majority of what we did. Now that I'm teaching the students, we're not putting that stuff in portfolios, to your point. Like, you're not going to see that, but would you want to see that in a portfolio?
Absolutely.
Like, so here's a campaign, but here's the emails, here's all the other stuff that goes with it.
I don't even care that much about like 360 campaigns. I would love to see a book with a bunch of ideas that solves a customer problem, a customer friction point, right? It could be a script in terms of how you answer the phone or how you greet a customer. It's not about polish, how you present it. It does tie back to like what is the concept in terms of what we're trying to solve, but I would love to see that because that's a big majority of what we do.
Yeah. Do you see a lot of that in portfolios?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Would you encourage your students to do that?
I mean, I love that stuff. It's not like because a lot of what we're doing is trying to get the grounding in what is a concept, what is a strategy, like how does that stuff work? But then as we start to, reflect it into the world, I love like small, smart, like very smart ideas.
Yeah.
We don't focus on that stuff, to be honest, but that's why I'm asking. Like, there's so much of that stuff is in the world. And so you're kind of asking somebody to hire somebody looking at their book and saying, I see you can design really well. You seem really smart, but without UX or like just really smart, simple designs on the things that you're going to be making, it's a leap of faith. I mean, you're kind of sussing it out a little bit. And so like, as I'm thinking about like, as the world's evolving, what do the students need to have in their portfolios? I mean, it's something that needs to be in there for sure, I think.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to things like students, it depends on who they're really trying to target. If they're trying to target ad agencies, maybe more traditional brand campaigns is still really relevant. I don't know. I've been out of the agency world for a while, but on the brand side, it's still problem solving.
Yeah.
It may not be like a big holistic campaign. It may be as simple as, an Easter egg on a can that has a smart message somewhere.
Yeah.
A lot of little one-offs can add up to me, someone who's willing to solve problems for customers at every touch point of their journey.
Yeah. And do you think that is more suited for an in-house job than a traditional agency? Or, if you were creative director at a traditional agency, do you think like you'd look at something and go, oh, that's actually pretty cool? I mean, this is all theory, right? But I guess I'm just trying are there things that make in-house creatives a little different, whether it's skewed, whether it's elevated, whether it's off, different than traditional agency creatives?
I mean, I think what Will was saying earlier really resonates, which is like, you have to be excited about the work that you're going to be doing. Right. And we used to do a lot of events, a lot of B2B events, you know, it's the same kind of thing where it's like you're doing thousands of deliverables and you have to care about what the name tag looks like. You have to care about what the lighting is going to be in the room. And so what the screen looks like and all, you know, all those little details that if you're not curious about that stuff and passionate about learning, at least learning more, if not being an expert in it already, then it's just not gonna, you're not gonna be excited about the job. Everybody's gonna feel it. And so I do think there's a mindset that is more detail oriented, probably a little bit closer to the realities, you know, and especially, you know, a place where your consumer is like, there's so many different touch points. It was the same thing at Yahoo. It's like touch points are all over the place.
Yeah.
So it's not like just one big idea. It's got to be, you know, 1,000 things, 1,000 little ideas, you know, per assignment.
Yeah.
And that is a very different way of thinking than come in and give me the one big idea.
I agree, because the media landscape now is so fractured anyways. You know, I honestly can't, I mean, because I don't pay that much attention to advertising anymore, but I can't think of an amazing 360 campaign within the last few years, right? The way that we used to celebrate them or the way I used to celebrate them on the agency side.
Well, I feel like it was smaller then, because a 360 campaign was, again, TV, radio, print, out of home, that all kind of fit together.
Yeah, and a lot of them, social activations now, and that's important.
Yeah.
Right. And we still do a lot of high visibility paid media. That's really important. The fundamentals are important.
Yeah.
We still do posters, believe it or not, down in the stores.
Yeah.
Go across the street now, there's a series of posters with smart headlines. Very traditional media.
Yeah.
But again, that's 30% of what we do, 20% of what we do.
Yeah. With so much stuff, especially with a company like Whole Foods, I mean, you are doing, I imagine, just a huge volume of.
And Amazon now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've got just a huge volume of creative. How do you keep the creative bar high when you have all of these other touch points that you have to hit?
Quite honestly, it's sometimes good enough is enough, actually.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be great, because we can't slow down the speed of business. We can't slow down getting a promotion out. It just has to get out.
Yeah.
And we can improve it, you know, especially in the digital space.
Yeah.
Right. But we got to launch it. Don't let perfection paralyze you.
Yeah.
So it's knowing like when you got to go all in and making something perfect, right? Like a brand campaign. And then something that may not be perfect, but is suitable and good enough for customers to do.
I mean, I always felt also like depending on what you celebrate, like you could celebrate big ideas all day, right? But like if you celebrate somebody who solved this crazy hairy problem or like figured out how to create, you know, 800 ads in 3 days, you know, that is something and if you're celebrating that kind of stuff too, it's not just saying everything needs to be the big thing, you know, it's saying like, look at the amount of work, or like, look at these smart ideas, or look at the system that somebody built, you know, or somebody, you know, it could be like your project manager came up with this great idea to solve this thing. Like celebrate that story as a part of the creative story. And it's not all just about the shiny thing on the wall, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like well, let me pause for a second because I want to remember my story correctly. There's a creative director that I've been speaking to, trying to get him on the show. And so he can remain nameless now. But one of the things that he mentioned when we just had a little chat was that this is a guy who he's won all the big awards, right? But he's in-house now. And I was asking him a similar question about like the difference between in-house and traditional agency. And he said he still wants to win those awards, or at least do the level of work that wins those awards. But he said their team just did a little banner ad, you know, just a little rinky-dink kind of small square banner ad, that because of the creative, like the click-through rate on that banner ad was like 150%, which is just like off the charts. And he said, I'm not going to put that banner ad in my book, but the fact that it got a click-through rate of 150% above what it normally did, he's like, we were just psyched about that. Jim and I went to lunch earlier today, and I was showing him for one of our clients. Just a week ago, we sent out an email, and I helped write it, and we had a really good designer put it together. And I don't think I would put this email in my book. I'm not going to redo my site for it, although maybe I will. But after we sent that email out, our social guy came in and he said, "Did you work on that email that just went out?" And I was like, "Yeah, it was. Was there a problem with it?" And he was like, "It just made $4,000 in the last half hour." We're like, "That's cool." And it ended up making like 11,000 within 48 hours, you know? And while the creative is pretty good, like I like it, it's not like the crown jewel of my portfolio. But I think for the, when I've done other ads, like I love the ads, but I don't know, did sales go up? Yeah, probably. I think they did.
Yeah.
But to have something tied like that, just to feel like it was a success, like that was pretty exciting.
I don't know if it needs to be one or the other, is there a world where you can kind of have both? Because then you're more marketable. You got your like, amazing work for, events, social, broadcast, or agencies if you're targeting agencies that are still looking for that. And if you want to go to the brand side, like the effectiveness, that stuff counts.
Yeah.
And I think the right creative director or CMO, they're going to look at that.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, you can do work that's like effective right on the spot. And then you can work on like high concept, high visibility, high media dollar type work too.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's a balance of both.
Yeah. It's yes and rather than either or, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, how do you guys use AI in business now? Like,
We're all in on it.
yeah?
Yeah.
How so? Well,
Our
like
team
creatively and
every day.
what does all in mean?
We're working on concepts right now for a TV campaign, digital TV campaign. And the time we would have spent putting boards together cut by like 98%.
Yeah.
So we're spending more time concepting now.
Yeah.
Right. And then with our writing tools, designers are becoming more adept at writing. Will they ever be like at the level of you guys? No, but at least now, like they have a partner, so to speak, to bounce and curate ideas off of, or at least to generate options.
Yeah.
So I can see kind of like the gears turning with, designers and writers. It's like a volume and a speed game. We aren't using it to, produce, work that represents food. That's where I draw the line there.
Yeah.
But for comps, I mean, it's been a game changer, and that's just our department. Like we use it throughout the organization. There's so many different tasks that it's a sparring partner now.
Yeah.
Right. In terms of content generation, copy generation, curation, right? Even our project managers use it. It helps their jobs. So we found it to be pretty astounding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting you call it a sparring partner. I don't know if you follow Cameron Day on LinkedIn. He's got a new book out called Chaos, K-A-I-A-I-OS.
No.
And he just talks about how he just beats the crap out of AI to get it to a place where he wants, like he's just a really harsh creative director on his AI. But yeah, as a sparring partner, I think that's the right thing. Do you use it in school?
Yeah.
In teaching or in like, or how do the
teaching or with the students?
Well, how do the students use it? Well, here's what I'd like to know is like, how do you know if a student is coming up with ideas with AI? Like, and is that a bad thing? Like if they bring ideas to you, if they're good, I guess they know how to prompt, or I don't know. It's almost like,
yeah, I mean, in reality, portfolio 1 of the 4 classes that they take is no AI. Like just flat out no AI. It's not allowed. Let's learn how to do long division. Yeah. And then portfolio 2, which is what I'm teaching right now, I'm like, you can use AI for pretty much anything, right? I want you to be able to explain how you used it. If you don't want to say that you used it, then you're not using it right. You should. And I think the mindset right now for the students should be, I'm proud that I figured this out using AI, not I want to hide it. Now, I don't want them like bringing in a fully designed ad and everything was AI. They just typed in the prompt in, because that's not the point. And you can see that, and it doesn't. Nobody in the world wants to see that right
Yeah.
now, right? But I want them to like figure out where in the process, what they learn in portfolio 1. This is the creative process that they go through. Ads on the wall, stick figures, all that kind of stuff. Now, where do we put AI into that to accelerate, to amplify, to help you think of things you didn't think of? A lot of it also because we don't have strategists. They're coming up with their own strategies. So I'm like, AI that stuff. AI will make you a pretty good other thing. And so you don't need to be the best strategist. You're not going to be writing strategies in the world, but you want to have a good strategy. So they AI a ton of their research. They help them think through like what's the best angle, what makes sense for the business, what's going on in culture, all that kind of stuff. And they come in with briefs that are like, here's a brief, and we can say that makes sense. That's a good working brief. And they do that much faster than they would have if they were like having to do all the Google research themselves. So they're not using it a ton right now on like the production stuff. Like they're not doing a lot of AI videos, but if it's conceptual, like an idea for a stunt or something like that, they're like using it, for that kind of stuff, representation of, the giant hot dog flying thing that's going to be, like they're not going to shoot that. So obviously they're using AI for that kind of stuff.
It's an interesting conversation, especially with students coming out, because I know the debate is like, should they use it or not? At the end of the day, could another question be not whether or not they use it, but do they have the right editing skills?
Yeah.
Do they still you know what I mean? Do they have that judgment to know that if that line was spit out by AI, we'll never really know.
Right.
But the fact that they put it in their book says, okay, you either have good or bad judgment. And that's not AI.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like it just elevates the requirement around taste. The things that creative directors used to need to be the people. Like now the students need to have that. Like you need to look at 10 lines. And I had taught another class. It wasn't a creative class. It was a pop culture class. And I told them like, you can, you have to come in and present your stuff up in front. And I don't care if you got there from AI or not, but you present it. It's like, if it's a bad idea, it's a bad idea. If it's not factual, it's not factual. And, it doesn't matter where it came from, and so that's some of that stuff's controversial because like, well, did they actually come up with it? But to your point, it's like you got to the ad at the end. And so you use this tool along the way. Now, I think it's important from a teacher standpoint. You need to know how to do that without the AI. You need to know what AI is kind of doing and how to judge it and how to diverge and converge and all that kind of stuff. But
I love how like in your first class, it's just, laptops down. I don't know if it's pen to paper, literally.
Yeah. Sharpies.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
That's great.
You know what that reminds me of is when we were in ad school, we were copywriters, but the first semester, art directors taught by Jelly Helm, and he made them do hand lettering. Like they had to do typography and they had to do it all by hand. And, most of us were like, wow, that's what the computer's for. Like, you totally don't need to do that. But I think what he was really teaching them was the craft and really the discernment, the judgment. Like, that's how you get it into your brain, not by pulling it up on the computer and moving it around. But like, they spent weeks hand lettering and kerning and letting everything by hand the way they used to. I think, they should probably still do that. But the modern version of that is no AI when you're coming up with ideas, because how else are you going to develop that judgment muscle?
Right. Yeah. At some point, you're going to have to sit down and come up with ideas and not AI.
Yeah.
Is it me, guys, or am I the only one who's noticing really bad kerning all over the place nowadays?
As a writer, yeah,
I see it all over.
Yeah.
It kills me.
Well, and I don't know if that's just a shortage of art directors or designers in the world, but
you had to come with an AI tool to fix that automatically or something.
Yeah, even then, like we were talking about the jagged frontier of AI, how like it's really good at some things and terrible at others. I was like, try to get AI. Chat GPT cannot solve a Wordle at all, unless it's, I don't know, maybe they've changed it now, but try doing Wordle with Chat GPT. It can't figure it out. And you were saying that it's like it's very good at exploring things, but not good at this is the answer. And I feel like kerning is like an answer. Like, I think it would be hard for ChatGPT to learn kerning. Oh, maybe.
Have you guys ever tried feeding it prompts to get it to like a classic ad Harley Davidson line?
I
To see if
remember.
you can actually get there.
I remember someone did that with Nike when Caitlin Clark from Iowa, was that her name? Yeah, Caitlin Clark, the big phenom from Iowa.
Yeah.
When she broke the scoring record, Nike did a headline that just said, "You break it, you own it." This is just a brilliant headline.
Yeah.
And someone on LinkedIn kind of did a thing where they took that and they said, "Okay, I'm going to try to get ChatGPT to come up with this line," and it couldn't. Yeah, you can argue that they just didn't prompt it well, but it's like, that's the thing about ChatGPT is, or Claude or any of them, is it'll give you answers, but it doesn't give you the judgment or the discernment or the experience to know if the answers are any good or if they could be changed or if they could be improved. So yeah, it's fascinating. So when you're looking at people who you might hire, outside of their books, like what are the qualities that you're looking for as in an employee when you're bringing them on at Whole Foods?
It sounds very basic, but curiosity, kindness, being fiercely competitive, but not outwardly so.
Talk to me about that. That's interesting. Fiercely competitive, but not outwardly so.
I grill them pretty hard in that we don't have ownership of the work in the department. Like, we rarely enter work in the award shows, and the few times we've done it, I think we've done it twice in 8 years. There are no names to it, and it's rare that someone takes one project completely on their own from beginning to end. And so, one of our core values is that you're not here to create the best work of your career. You're here to help someone else create the best work of their career. And I really want to hire people who truly embrace that kind of abundance mentality.
Yeah.
Maybe part of that is just my scars from agency politics in the past, but that's something that I truly believe in. And so I look for that, like humility, true collaboration, and true, I guess it just comes down to curiosity and humility.
Yeah.
Those two things.
That's pretty great. What kind of things? I mean, you're teaching now, but I mean, do you have a say in who gets into the program?
Yeah, but we look at the work. We don't talk to the people.
Yeah.
The way we evaluate. Not creativity. Curiosity was going to be my number one as well. Yeah.
How do you judge that?
When I used to interview people, and right now a lot of students are coming in and they're like, I'm going to interview, like, what do I need to be ready for? And I'm telling them, this is what I would ask. And one of the things is, I just want to know what you're into.
Yeah.
Like, just in general, like, because if I can get somebody talking about something they're passionate about, even if I'm not that interested, like, I want to hear them tell me about it.
Yeah.
And just listen to why they're interested in it. How do they talk about it? Because I used to do this at Yahoo too. We'd have these talks that were just like, tell us about something you're into. We had just department meetings. Somebody would do one month and then somebody the next month, because like when you hear somebody talk about what they're into, you get a sense of like what's inside, and then kind of them at their best too, right? That takes all the nervousness away from like work environment. And you're just like, I don't know, tell me. One of the people talked about like fly fishing, and somebody else talked about preparing ballet shoes for performance. Like, very specific. Yeah. And cool. Like, you would think that like none of us were going to go, there was actually tying flies for fly fishing. Like, none of us were going to go do that. None of us were going to go perform, but people were just riveted, and you hear about that person. So anyway, that's an interview question I like, is just like, tell me about what you're into. And then I like dig into it a little bit more. I also would want to hear them talk about their ideas, like pick something from their book. It didn't really matter what, and be like, tell me about that. Cause I want to hear about if they have a command of the idea, if they know what's good about it, if they can talk me through all the way through the strategy to the executional details. And I'm teaching a campaigns class right now where it's really about like, okay, we've got the strategy, you got some ideas, now you're making decisions on these details. Like, all that stuff needs to string back up to the why. Why did you decide that? How does that connect to the business strategy? Because it can't just be like, I don't know, I thought it'd be cool if, which is a lot of times where people start. It's like, I thought it'd be cool. Okay, now tell me why it's good for the problem you're solving too. Yeah.
So I've got a question for both of you. Jim invited me to speak to the students at UT today, and at the end of the meeting, it was open Q&A, and one of the students asked my opinion on this question. I'd love to hear how you guys answer it. He said, as I'm looking for a job, as I'm starting to get ready, I think he's a junior, as he's starting to look at a job, he's hearing a lot of different conflicting advice, but kind of his sense is like, go to work at an ad agency. You probably won't make a lot of money early on, but then, follow the path to become a creative director and then maybe an ECD or a GCD or whatever. And then hopefully go in-house later on, and then you'll get paid more and it'll be a better work-life balance. And that was not a career path that I was ever had in my mind, and I think that there are some flaws to that thinking, but what do you guys say to that? We'll have Will go first because you heard that. Maybe you've been thinking about it. But
I think it's a very linear approach.
Yeah.
And I think being a creative director has historically been the title of prestige, whereas the real, the real job, you guys know, is anything but that.
Yeah.
So I would ask the student, how do they define happiness and fulfillment? Start from there.
Wow.
And make sure your job search fits into that definition.
That's an awesome answer.
So it depends, you know what I mean? Like, if fulfillment is like working like a dog, creating the best one show can winning type work, then focus your work on that. If it's about doing great work, having balance, and you truly want to work on anything and everything, then curtail your book to that. And don't worry so much about where you should go. Just do the kind of work that you think is going to make you happy, and then you'll find the right spot, whether that's an agency or a brand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's going to change over your career too, right? Like just over life, right?
Yeah.
Like the thing that fulfills you or the thing that you need, right? Like before I had kids, it was like work-life balance, like whatever, I don't care. Like, there was like work kind of was life. They're the same people I'm hanging out with them, And so I think that, it's funny you said that. I have this deck that I used to do for students on my, like the last day, like here's like 10 things I want to tell you about, just pieces of advice. And the last one was like, define success for yourself. Because people will tell you all kinds of things. Your parents will tell you it's one thing. Your, creative peers will tell you something else. People who don't know anything about advertising will tell you like, something completely different about what success means. So I love your answer. Like figure that out. You might not even know, you might just have a sense, but like, and then go try to find that, wherever that is. And I also think that like, you're just going to be frustrated if you're like, this is the path, right? Like, I don't think any of us have this linear path. And if you're like, I need to, or you're going to be very disappointed because you're going to get to this, part in your career where you're like, this is where I'm supposed to just get kick back and get paid a ton of money to like have a good work-life balance. Why am I answering emails on Saturday night about the Sunday event? Or why is the CEO reaching out and saying, what's up with this email that went out from your team? Like that was not work-life balance, so I think that there's just like, I don't think you want to set yourself up for that kind of expectation. You want to like root it in something higher. Like, what are your values? What are you seeking broadly? And not like, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do that and I'm going to do that.
Yeah. I'll tell you my answer to the guy. I think these are awesome answers. I just said, don't worry about what you think you need to do. Focus on your book. That's the thing that you can control. Make the very best portfolio you can. And then that will open up different doors. Now, one person's portfolio might open up different doors than another person's portfolios, just based on how they approach problems, what clients they had in it, what types of work it was. But I always tell my kids, like, you got to be an opportunity farmer. You just got to throw as many opportunity seeds out there, because some of them are going to grow, some of them aren't. Some of them are going to grow into like a weird plant that you didn't even know existed, and you're like, well, that's cool. So
well, and to that is like the portfolio, and then also just how you interact with people. Like every interaction that you have with somebody's planting some kind of seed, one or you know, that's killing a seed. I don't know. I guess
Yeah.
depending how it goes. But like your point earlier about like just kindness and no ego and all that stuff, and looking for that in a team. Like, right, if you interact with somebody and they have a great experience with you, it doesn't matter if it's like a big idea, or again, you just help them solve a problem, or you help them out. That is something potentially, it could be an opportunity down the line. You know, that person now, oh, they are a brand, you know, director over at some, you know, company that's looking for whatever. They remember you, put in a good word, and you know, all that stuff. It's, you're not doing it selfishly, but that's all like, it's selfish work too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. What, who's doing work that you guys really admire these days from anywhere?
Will
I saw a poster recently, maybe it was a bus board for Oatly,
Yeah.
and it floored me. It was so simple and so good. It was a direct like pushback to legal. And the headline, it was just, you know, illustration shot of the carton
Yeah.
of ice cream. But the line was, "We can't legally call it ice cream, but you can." That was so simple. And it's just like, oh my God. Maybe because that day I had been sparring with legal, but I thought that's just such a brilliant little, I don't know if it's an insight or what, but it was so simple.
That's
Just
great.
loved it.
Oatly does really good
Oatly
stuff.
does
They
great.
definitely have a voice.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Oh,
Yeah.
you.
I mean, I love Airbnb. Red Bull was always my favorite brand, and maybe still is in a lot of ways, but I think Airbnb might be my favorite brand now, just in terms of like all the way through, like the experience of the actual product, but then like, you know, the animated stuff that they do is just brilliant. It's so charming, and it like does such a good job of like explaining the benefits of the product, you know, in a very kind of old fashioned, simple way. They did that documentary stuff with the Olympians that was just interesting. I mean, they just shot like a 15-minute, you know, documentary film, and it's just good stuff. It's like really high quality. I mean, you could tell everybody over there is just like craftspeople and really smart all the way through, and I appreciate that a lot. It's great.
Yeah. I'll tell you a couple campaigns that I've really liked. I really like what OpenAI is doing, where it's just kind of, it's a single shot. It's not multiple shots. It's a single shot of maybe a guy doing pull-ups. And then it's just the chat GPT scroll of this is what it's like. And you don't have to read the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I interviewed Adam Koppel, who was the ECD at OpenAI for a little bit. And he said, you know, kind of their strategy was just, it's this new, could be scary technology, but let's make people feel like, well, no, this is a part of our lives and it's always been around.
Yeah.
And I think those spots really make you just feel like, well, yeah, I'll just, if I want to know how to run and not quit running, I'll do this. Or if I want to, like, that's just how I'll use it. I'm also a huge fan of Duolingo because, you know, it's a product that it only exists on my app or, you know, like, or maybe my desktop, but like, and I guess you can go buy like green owl plushies or something online, but it's not like something you pick up in a store. It's complete software as service, but it has, and I've been using it for a long time too. So I've seen kind of the iterations that it's gone through and how they've developed these characters and how the characters have these, you know, their own voices. And just the way and the collaborations they do too. It's almost, you know, Liquid Death does some really crazy collaborations, like with Yeti and Elf and whoever else.
Yeah.
But Duolingo does really interesting collaborations too. And I just think that to go into a business where, you know, you've got, okay, well, our goal is to get people to want to learn languages. And how do we make that weird or quirky or fun? And they do it. Like, that's pretty cool thing.
Yeah, right.
You guys have any comments, anything that you want to chat before we start to wrap up? Anything we didn't touch on?
Wow. No, I'm glad we spent a lot of time talking about students because I understand like there could be a lot of trepidation right now. I mean, I guess that's a timeless thing to feel when you're a student.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty optimistic about the future. I know there's a lot of doom and gloom out there right now when you go on LinkedIn. I'm hopeful that AI is going to open up a lot of doors because I think it's democratizing creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going to help, I'm hopeful, a population who didn't have access to art school, it's going to help them get good, hopefully.
Yeah.
And I'm hopeful that Agency folks, mid-level, senior level, to me, I think there's a big white space for them because they know what good work is, right?
Yeah.
They've developed their skills, and they can, if anyone can use AI to their benefit, it's them.
Yeah.
It's like, boom. If they know how to edit, they know how to create effect, they have good taste, right? They've built that muscle, right? Whereas kids coming out of school, they really haven't done that yet. So I'm trying to be encouraging to a population, at least on my feeds right now, where there's a lot of doom and gloom, and it's tough to see that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the optimism is, I mean, creative it's an optimistic act. It has to be, you know. I don't think it's like you're making something and putting it into the world to make the world hopefully better than it was before you made that thing. And so I think you have to believe in things being better. And I think it is like, it's refreshing anytime anybody's optimistic. I mean, it's one of the things I love about being around the students. Like they're, you know, and I tell them, I'm like, how you walk into a room matters, you know, and everybody's got stuff going on in their lives. But if you're walking into a meeting or sit down with your partner or a classroom or whatever it is, and just do the thing, shake it off, come in and just like come in with good energy. Like it changes everything and can be really infectious. And so especially like these days, it's like when somebody comes in and they're like, things are good. Like, you know, it's like you always walk into rooms like that. You're always happy.
We hired a student from Austin City College 3 years ago, and she got an entry-level job in production, right? Doing traditional mechanicals, right? A lot of them were static manners. Within 3 years, she's gotten a couple promotions. She's working on our broadcast campaign right now. Has never worked on broadcast before, ever.
Yeah.
But she's also working on her day-to-day static manners in emails. And she comes in every day and she's like got a bounce in her step. And when we were first kind of learning this AI tool and how to create some of these storyboards, she came in the next day and they were like, done. I was blown away. She was giving it prompts from like cinematographers. I was looking at it going, oh my God, how long did it take you to do that? And I'm sure she lied, but she said, no, not very long. But I just love that like infectious kind of enthusiasm from, you know, kids coming out of school. It's like, we need that.
Yeah. Awesome. Guys, thanks for being here. You ready for the bonus question? You already got the bonus question on your individual episodes, but you can change answers. But the question that I ask all my guests is, if you're in an airport and you can go anywhere you want, money, time, not an issue, where are you going to go and why? And you get one domestic location and one international location.
I don't want to be in an airport right now.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Where can you drive?
Private airport.
Yeah. I don't remember what I answered last time. I'm right now just reading a couple books that have Tokyo in them. And so I'm like kind of jonesing to go there. Never been there. Would love to go. Domestically, I'm going to say upstate New York. I don't know why. I just have this. I want to go up there for some reason.
Yeah. People get lost in the Finger Lakes.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I think you said Maine or Florida for your domestic last time. I don't know why that stuck in my mind.
Okay.
I think I remember you saying that is Portland your happy place?
Yes. Portland, the Oregon coast.
Yeah.
Nice.
I would still choose that domestically. Though now I have my youngest daughter's a freshman at University of Michigan. So
oh, really?
I would like to jump on a plane and go visit her.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then internationally, like you, my wife and I have been talking about Japan. She's been there a couple of times. I've never been there.
Yeah.
And would love to go check it out.
What would you guys do if you went to Japan?
I would love to ask my wife kindly, can we spend a couple days just doing our own thing? And I'll have my sketchbook and I would just sit in a corner and just draw for like 12 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Just doodling people and just completely unplugging.
That's amazing. What about you?
Just wander around. I went there one time on a business trip and it was wonderful. I wasn't in Tokyo, but it was, but we were ushered around every moment. Like, you know, it was like, you know?
Yeah.
And so I just go and just kind of wander. I just like to be in a city and just wander around with no real aim. Just, you know, to do that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Will Chau, Jim Bosiljevac, thank you so much for being on Let's Bring It
It's
In.
a lot of fun.
Thanks for all of your wisdom and your insight, and I'm a fan of both of you.
Appreciate it.
So
Thank
thanks
you.
for joining. Check us out on letsbringitin.com. Let's Bring It In is a production of Barnes Creative Bank at barnescreativebank.com.